Aubrey Drake Graham. You've done it again, sir. Congratulations. You've taken rap over again. Drake, on the 4th of July, he dropped a surprise preview, a live listening preview to his upcoming album titled ICEMAN. And wow, I just have to say, this is the coolest album rollout that I've seen by an artist since probably Kanye in 2021 with Donda. Drake has his upcoming album called Iceman. He's been subliminally posting things on his Plot Twist Instagram Finsta account. And then he's went on Aiden Ross's stream, for example, and wore an Iceman hoodie and kind of explained his next upcoming album is Iceman. And we really didn't know anything about it. Tidbits here and there, information on the internet for all the Drake stans, for all the fans. But we never got any information. Well, the 4th of July comes, and I'm scrolling through Twitter, kind of waiting for the fireworks to start at my event that I was at. And, I don't like fireworks. I don't really look forward to them. So I'm just scrolling through Twitter, whatever. And I see all of a sudden, OVO Sound tweets, "What did I miss?" 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm thinking, and they're promoting it as like a Drake single. So they tweet out a YouTube link, and I click on the link, and it's a live video. And I'm like, okay. And then it starts. And the fireworks haven't started yet, so I'm still watching this video. And it's Drake in this company, in this ice company in Toronto. It's called ICEMAN, which is coincidentally the same name as his upcoming album. And it shows him like kind of working. He's inspecting a block of ice, then he's waiting in the break room. And on the screen, you see Drake in his Room for Improvement era, which is his first mixtape, performing on the road, opening up for Ice Cube, just raw, like before he became Drake, when he was still on the come up. And kind of breaking down like this. There's one guy that's videoing this video. It's like 20 years ago in 2005. Saying how, Drake, he's going to run Toronto for the next 15 summers. And like, turns out he did. But Drake is playing essentially a character in this Toronto ice company, in the warehouse. And all of a sudden, you hear music. And it's like, what? And then that's when he debuted What Did I Miss? Which is his new single that came out on Friday, July 5th. Which, wow, he's back. Great song. Loved it. It's basically Drake talking about how all of the people in the music industry, even LeBron, betrayed him. And it's just him saying, like, what did I miss? I was doing everything for you guys. I was making all of these songs, these bangers. I was signing deals. I was helping you guys get in the door. What did I miss? What did I do to you? LeBron, Future, Rick Ross, A$AP Rocky, etc. What did I do? Why did you diss me? Why did you jump on the Kendrick bandwagon of hate? And it just never made sense to me personally. But it's a very relatable song. What Did I Miss is a great song, a great rap song. A lot of people liked it. Of course, there were people now, because it's popular to hate Drake, so of course people are going to not like it. Or they'll say they don't like it anyway. But this song, man, what a great song as the lead single for the album. So to go into this, right? So he debuts What Did I Miss? And he's kind of like doing like a live music video. It was a very cool thing. It was pretty innovative, if we're being completely honest. Really innovative. Loved it. I've been a Drake fan since 2011, 2010. And like this is probably the most innovative album rollout that he's done for a long time. Certified Lover Boy was cool. He had the reveal of the title name on the Laugh Now, Cry Later music video with Lil Durk. Odell Beckham was there. And you saw Laugh Now, Cry Later. It was the music video. And then I believe it was on the top of Air Canada. It's a Certified Lover Boy. So he revealed the title. And, they had the billboards and stuff like that. But you never really got a true rollout. Scorpion, the rollout was kind of like, I hate to say it was the Pusha T beef, but it kind of was. And so there was that. Views had a really good rollout. But I don't know, man. This is cool. This is the coolest thing probably since Kanye had that I think it was the 3 live listening parties on Apple Music with Donda 1. That was really cool. This is probably the coolest thing since that in terms of like a rollout for a rapper. So anyway, he's doing this, right? Drake's doing it. He premieres What Did I Miss? He's like, hey, finishing the song, whatever. And then he goes into this truck. So it pauses, right? You don't see him for a little bit. He goes into this truck, and he's driving around this ice truck in the west end of Toronto, is what they say. And he's premiering like 4 songs additionally after What Did I Miss? And some of them sounded like unfinished, but they were hard, man. And the audio quality was kind of crappy, I'm not going to lie. But the audio quality was like here and there, but you could still make out what was happening, what you could hear from the music. He's driving around this ice truck, and he's playing the audio from the truck. And one of the songs that is supposedly on ICEMAN, all these songs are supposedly on his upcoming album, ICEMAN. It's called Supermax Contracts. And bro, this one, it's dark. He's kind of rapping off the beat, but it's a tough beat. And in it, what I can only assume from the lyrics, I mean, it's not a complete song, it's not out. What I can only assume is that this is about that Universal Music Group lawsuit where he's poised to make well over the contract that he had. I believe the contract that he had was $400 million. So it would appear that he's on top right now and that he's winning this trial and that he's going to win the lawsuit and make a shit ton of money in this UMG trial. So that's really interesting. That's really exciting. Just to see somebody go against the industry like that and come on top, especially somebody that you like. But the music industry is notorious for being predatory. We go down the list of all the executives that have really screwed over rappers, screwed over musicians. So that's a completely separate thing. That's like kind of in the background right now. That's like the backdrop of the album. But so anyway, he plays a couple more, which hard to make out. You could tell maybe he's still writing some of these songs. And then it ends. So in total, it was called ICEMAN Episode 1 is what they called it. So the live ends, and dude, so many people. There were so many live viewers, so many people in the chat. I was dumbfounded because, it's the 4th of July. You'd think people wouldn't want to watch a live premiere. Yes, he's a big artist, but they wouldn't want to watch a live premiere on the 4th of July, one of the biggest holidays in the country. But they were on. And, bro, it was really cool. I didn't watch the whole thing, obviously, because I was with my family. But it was really, really cool. So I watched the replay after they posted it again. And this is going to be a really good album, man. I am really excited about ICEMAN. It's Drake's first album, his first solo studio rap album, right? He had the collab album, Party Next Door, but that wasn't a rap album. The first solo rap album, post beef. And the interesting thing too, was that this came on July 4th, which was exactly a year after the Not Like Us music video dropped. Which was crazy, right? Absurd. So the timing, right? You could get that this was planned. But I want to read a couple of these quotes. And I'm not going to put them on screen here, but I will read a couple of them. He had this one quote, which I thought was pretty cool on What Did I Miss? What's the get back for N-words? It's TBD. I look at this shit like a BTC, implying Bitcoin. Could be down this week, then I'm up next week. Referencing Bitcoin being very volatile, right? Up and down. I thought that was a pretty cool quote. Then this is another one on What Did I Miss? Losing all these friends really got to me. Family feels like a riddle to affiliates that thought they were safe because they played the middle. And another one that have some probably, people say this is probably him talking about the Futures, the Rick Rosses, etc., right? Okay. And then, here's another quote. So people are saying this is him talking about LeBron. What did I miss? When I was looking at y'all and cooking with y'all and giving out verses and bookings to y'all, making sure wires hit, what did I miss? That's not the one with LeBron. The next one is going to be the one with LeBron. But again, people are speculating this is like the Future, Rick Ross, A$AP Rocky, etc., right? Kendrick. Here we go. And see, this is the quote right here that people are thinking this is LeBron. I saw bro in the pop out with them, but been dick riding gang since headlines. Implying that this is LeBron because LeBron went to the pop out event where Kendrick and all these people athletes, rappers, celebrities. You had everybody. A$AP Rocky, YG, LeBron, Serena Williams, Damian Lillard. Anybody who was anybody that hated Drake went to this pop-out event at the Forum. They played not like 6 times in a row. There were a couple other songs, obviously, too. But anybody, any celebrity, any rapper, really anybody who had beef with Drake was there at this Kendrick Lamar event. And so, man, before that, everybody was saying, it was known. LeBron and Drake were like this, bro. They were boys. They were best friends. And who knows why it happened? I don't know why it happened. I don't know why LeBron switched up on Drake like that. Steph Curry didn't do that. KD didn't do that. But it's very interesting to see this, man, because if you paid attention to the unreleased track by Drake, it thought to be called Fighting Irish Freestyle. This was back in like January, February. But what he did was he posted a video on his Instagram. Either it was his Finsta or his main. I can't remember. But it's him going on for like probably 3.5 minutes. Just a freestyle, just a rap, a video of him rapping. It wasn't leaked or anything like that. But just talking about like the secrets, like if only people knew about like who you really were, if only people knew like what you really did in private. Implying that LeBron like routinely cheats on his wife. Here's another quote from the Supermax Deals song. Supermax Deals, F the raps, I'm more impressed by your acting skills. I'm back for real. You boys barely cracked the shield. I'm big tired of fake love like track and wheels. A bar. A bar. An absolute bar. Here's another one. Only time they put me in a box is with the red leather. My body will rot. My name will live on forever. So obviously he came in with the heat. He puts out What Did I Miss, which is the lead single of ICEMAN, what he's doing. And this thing hits the top of everything, right? Number 1 on Apple Music, number 1 on Spotify. Probably going to debut somewhere in the Billboard Top 5, so he has another hit on his hands. It was a hit, no question. No question. No question. And obviously, like I said, people have been hating, whatever, but really, like, people are saying, like, this is really, really good. But yeah, man, absolutely crazy. So we don't know when Iceman is going to come out. I would think he's going to have at least an episode 2, maybe an episode 3 where he premieres this music. But I will say this is one of the better album debuts in a long time. Definitely since at least Donda 1 by Kanye, but one of the more memorable album debuts. And I'm definitely ready for episode 2. And obviously ready for the greater album, which we're rumored to get sometime this summer. So we'll see. But yeah, man, I'm very excited for it. Very excited. So he's taken the rap game back, and you just gotta cheer for him. You just gotta cheer for him. In other news, folks, we've been following Diddy for the past year and a half, it feels like, on this channel, and some very interesting news, to say the least, has come about in the past couple of days surrounding Diddy. And here is the Daily Mail article for you now. This is right here. Diddy's lawyers call verdict an enormous victory and win. Claim disgraced mogul will be able to sleep at night. And which is really crazy, because he's probably one of the most dangerous people in the prison that he was in, but now he can, quote, sleep at night. Whatever, but it is so crazy that he's innocent, man. Here we go. Lawyers representing Sean Diddy Combs declared the verdict in the disgraced music mogul's trial an enormous victory and win. The 55-year-old hip-hop artist was found not guilty of sex trafficking and racketeering on Wednesday, but was convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. He will now remain in custody until his sentencing, which is tentatively scheduled for October 3rd. So this is crazy, because I thought he was on trial for, like, everything. I thought he was on trial for when he beat Cassie, his girlfriend. You saw the video footage of that when he, like, beat the hell out of this woman. A lot of shit came out. Like, people were saying, Kid Cudi even went to testify, I believe, and saying that Diddy blew up his car because he was with Cassie some point after they were dating. And all this stuff, right? Talked about the baby oil, the GHB that he used, like the date rape drug. that he used to get with these celebrities if they weren't consenting to it. Very shady stuff. We talk about the implications with like Jennifer Lopez, for example, and potentially Biggie and stuff like that. And it's very, very weird. So continuing on here. But after Diddy returned to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, his attorney said he will sleep well at night. He was acquitted of sex trafficking, acquitted of RICO conspiracy, and he will sleep well at night knowing that. Attorney Anna Estavo told reporters outside the Manhattan Federal Courthouse. Okay, so like they want to keep driving home this point that he can sleep well at night. Well, like I thought that he would have enjoyed being in jail, you know, because he's like a freaky guy like that. And it doesn't sound like he was sleeping well before he got here. Anyway, Diddy was convicted of the 2 counts under the Federal Mann Act for transporting people, including his girlfriends and paid male sex workers, to engage in prostitution. That's pretty bad. Each count of felony crime carries a maximum sentence of up to 10 years in prison, but if he had been convicted on the top charge, racketeering conspiracy, he could have been sentenced to life in prison. So that's not great. So right here, the lawyer's talking about it's an enormous victory and win, and say Diddy will sleep well at night. We don't need to play that. But like, is this not weird? We've seen so much over the internet that's come out about Diddy over the past year and a half. Ever since this thing happened back in like March of 2024, I believe. And it's like, he's not guilty? What? It just doesn't feel like there's any like justice when it comes to this. Like if you've seen the videos and the stories of like what Diddy did and what he orchestrated, and was he the top guy in this? Was he like the Black Epstein? Who knows? But I know for a fact he's got some people at the top that he coerced into doing things with underage girls and boys, apparently. And so I would like those people to be held accountable, specifically for the fact that there are people that were minors at the time that were hurt. You know what I mean? And so why, like, I don't want to know the victims. I don't want the victims to be exposed. But, like, he's not guilty. He must have had good lawyers. I don't know. And so Diddy's obviously celebrating, right? As he would. He's innocent or he's not guilty. But somebody else is celebrating too. Somebody else is celebrating too. And this is obviously pretty funny. So we all know 50 Cent. And we know 50 Cent does not have a particular affinity towards Diddy. We know this. Thinks he's a little bit fruity. Accused him of trying to hook up with him. Right? That viral clip on the Breakfast Club. Oh yeah, he asked me if I wanted to come shopping with him. He wanted to take me shopping. Well, 50 Cent right here, he congratulates rival Diddy for not guilty verdict on top charges. Quote, the gay John Gotti. From the New York Post, here we go right here. 50 Cent was quick to react to the Sean Diddy Combs verdict Wednesday, seemingly hailing the disgraced rapper for beating the feds before quickly dubbing him the gay John Gotti. Quote, Diddy beat the feds. That boy a madman, the rapper said in an Instagram post alongside a photo of himself grinning and applauding emojis. 50 Cent, who has a long-standing feud with the disgraced music mogul, then compared him to the infamous mafia... I'm sorry, he called him the gay John Gotti. Compared him to the infamous mafia boss who was nicknamed the Teflon Don after prosecutors couldn't get charges to stick. Quote, beat the Rico, he the gay John Gotti, the rapper added. And here's the picture that he posted with that caption right here. The Indie Club hip-hop artist was name-dropped during the trial back in May during shocking testimony that he touched on the long-standing feud between the hip-hop legends. Diddy's ex-assistant, Capricorn Clark, told her jurors her boss once implied he might pull a gun on 50. Quote, I don't like all the back and forth. I like guns. End quote. Clark recalled telling Combs, his manager, after seeing 50 Cent at an MTV event. 50 Cent, who famously took 9 bullets during a 2000 shooting in Queens, reacted to the name drop with mocking faux fear. Quote, wait a minute, Puffy's got a gun? I can't believe this. I don't feel safe. The New York City native posted on Instagram after the testimony, quote, LOL. The beef between the pair began nearly 20 years ago after 50 Cent, whose real name Curtis James Jackson III, released a diss track, The Bomb, in 2006 that accused Combs of knowing who killed Biggie Smalls, which may be. He spent much of the Combs sex trafficking trial roasting him over the torrent of graphic violence and accusations leveled against him. The Bad Boy Records founder was ultimately found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. He was acquitted on 2 sex trafficking charges and 1 racketeering charge. Okay, so 50 Cent was not the only one that was celebrating Diddy and the verdict of not guilty. There were a couple of colorful supporters. And I say colorful not in terms of the racial aspect, right? There are a couple of white people, but the majority of them are black. I say colorful in the way that they're acting. And colorful is an understatement. They were celebrating Sean Diddy Combs, his not guilty verdict, while pouring baby oil all over themselves. I'm just going to play this for you. I'm going to play this for you, and I'm looking at it right now. And just see it for yourselves. Obviously, you see the guys throwing baby oil on the lady. Right here, you can see it. Right here. He's mid-toss. He's throwing baby oil on the lady with the weave that just fell out. Why are we celebrating this? Why are we as a society celebrating all of this? Obviously, this guy was not a good guy by any stretch of the imagination, regardless if he was guilty or not guilty. You see the video of him beating up his girlfriend, and you could kind of tell, hey, this guy's a criminal. This guy's not a good guy. So the prostitution charges are still up in the air from the articles that we're reading. But, like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Why are we celebrating this guy who's, like, video proof of him beating up his girlfriend? Now, it's come out. Obviously, the girlfriend wasn't a saint either. But regardless, what are we doing? Why are we glorifying celebrities? Again, if this show is not dedicated to anything else, it is dedicated to the fact that we cannot glorify celebrities. Why are we doing it? Especially the worst ones imaginable. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Why do we have to continue to harp on this? And there's always going to be stupid people that completely get that. But, like, this guy was on video beating the fuck out of his girlfriend. And I mean that in no disrespectful way, but, like, that's literally what he was, beating the fuck out of his girlfriend in a hotel in the hallway, out in the open, and it's on camera. And, like, people are still defending this guy. People are still celebrating that this guy was free. I like Kanye West, but, like, why are you saying free Diddy, free Diddy, free Diddy? I mean, he's might be free, so maybe there was a point to him saying that, but I just don't get it. Why? Why are we glorifying this awful man, this criminal? I don't care what you say, guilty, not guilty. Like, he beat the fuck out of his girlfriend. You can't tell me this is somebody that we should celebrate, you know? So, yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I hope that he rots in prison, but something tells me that he won't. Something tells me that he won't. You just want to see justice. That's all you want. The transition here. Let's get out of this whole celebrity gossip talk, but still stay in New York because Diddy is being held in New York. Zohran Mamdani. I covered him last week. I'll cover him again. There's clips of him that have been coming out of him being a little bit racist to white people. I'm going to play a clip where it's him back in like 2021, 2022, where he's talking about his mother, who's a director, would knowingly cast white people in the minor roles that are like the servants in the film. I'll play this clip for you here. Here we go.
Because my mother made a film called Mississippi Masala and met my father in the process of it. And at the time, she was looking for funding for that film, and she told the story. It was about a love story between an African-American man and an Indian-Ugandan woman. And she went up to a financier, and he said, where are the white actors in this story? And she said, don't worry, they'll be the waiters. And she taught me that if we don't tell our own stories, no one else will. And too often when it comes to stories about people of color, by people of color, we don't have that funding. Because my mother...
Don't worry, they'll be the waiters. Ain't that a little bit sketchy? That seems like it's a little bit sketchy. No? Continuing on here. So, obviously, Zohran Mamdani is going to potentially be the next mayor of New York. Like, this is a big deal. And him saying that his mother was essentially being racist to white actors or white people by creating her own art, which she has the right to do by every stretch of the imagination. However, this guy is going to be the mayor for millions of white people that live in New York City. Are we even going to use our brains here a little bit? Maybe that's not racist, whatever, but like, is this a good idea to have this guy be the mayor of a city with millions of white people living in it, as well as other races, right? Not a majority white country, obviously, or city. But this is like a little bit weird. No? A little bit weird, considering that Hispanics and blacks did not majority vote for Mamdani. They voted for Cuomo, which is really weird. So let's continue here, because I want to get to this. Why is this happening, right? Why am I talking to this? It doesn't make sense here. Well, there's an article here that I am trying to pull up, and I apologize if it's not going to be here. But, so, he won the majority of white precincts, okay, Zohran Mamdani. Dominated the high-income areas, and he lost black neighborhoods. So the white progressives put him over the top. Fair say. Well, interesting here, here's an article, or a little clip from an article, of what Zohran Mamdani's proposal is, okay? So he's proposing to shift tax burdens to the, quote, white neighborhoods. This is right here. This will include implementing much of the New York City Advisory Commission on Property Taxes Reform 2021 recommendations, which are comprehensive. However, shorter-term immediate relief is necessary. The administration will shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in the richer and whiter neighborhoods. This is on Zohran Mamdani's campaign website. You can find it right here. Again, this is in bold. This is the first point right here. One of the goals for the shorter term relief for the people that are struggling in New York City is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in the richer and whiter neighborhoods. Richer and whiter, not richer and Chinese, not richer and Indian, in terms of, like, I don't know, the Indian immigrants that are getting attacked, the doctors, right? It's a very successful block of the American immigrant class. No, richer, whiter. Isn't that a little bit weird? So it says right here, continuing on, the property tax system is unbalanced because assessment levels are artificially capped. So homeowners in expensive neighborhoods pay less than their fair share, according to this website. The mayor can fix this by pushing class assessment percentages down for everybody and adjusting rates up, effectively lowering tax payments for homeowners in neighborhoods like Jamaica and Brownsville, while raising the amount paid in the most expensive Brooklyn brownstones. But, like, you could have just said, and it would have been fine, because I don't live in New York City. I don't give a shit. But you could have just said shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer neighborhoods. But you had to put richer and whiter neighborhoods. Is that not a little bit weird? Is that not a little bit weird? I think it's a little sus. Why does he hate white people? This is the implication I'm getting. And again, I wasn't exactly a fan of this guy last week or a week and a half ago when we covered this. But he's happening to a really interesting energy. But I really, really, really don't like this. And so here's another thing. So this is actually really interesting. The New York Times recently unveiled that Zohran Mamdani wrote that he's Asian and African American on his college application. Here's the clip.
And coming to terms with something that really reshapes what's possible and what a coalition looks like, it may take some people time. And what's so exciting to me is that this was a campaign that was laser focused on an economic agenda and on making clear that every New Yorker belongs in this city. They deserve the same respect, the same recognition. And ultimately, what good is it if we call this the greatest city in the world if the people who built it can't afford to live here? And the increased turnout, it's not just generational. I also say this as the first South Asian elected official, the first Muslim elected official to ever run for mayor. The turnout in those same communities.
Hold on. He said he was Asian and African American, right? Right here, New York Times reportedly unveiled that Zohran Mamdani wrote he's Asian and African American on his college application. So why does he say he's South Asian and Muslim? Play it again.
I also say this as the first South Asian elected official, the first Muslim elected official.
Ain't that a little bit weird? Use your brain. Like that could be a little bit weird, right? Am I reaching? I don't know. But like now you might be racist and you also might be a liar. And you're going to be the mayor for the biggest city in the United States of America. I mean, I liked your political campaign. I don't necessarily like your ideas, but I do really, really want to see you help New York. But New Yorkers are mad about this, man. They're especially the black ones. Here's a New York Post article, and I want to get into this. I want to tap into this here because people are frustrated, man. So here we go from the Post. Quote, black New Yorkers rage over Zohran Mamdani's African-American claim, quote, he's a fraud. People aren't falling for it, man. They fell for it in the past, but not anymore. Here we go. Black New York isn't buying it. Interesting. A slew of Big Apple residents who are black fumed Friday over mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mamdani's claim on an Ivy League college application that he's African-American, with them raging the socialist poll is a fraud and a trickster. Quote, he's just trying to get over, an 86-year-old Harlem resident identifying herself as Marjorie, said of Mamdani, a socialist of Asian Indian descent. And here he is right here. Quote, you can look at him and see he's not black, she said. Absolutely not. You can't argue with that. Quote, I don't like him. I didn't like him from the first time I heard him. You can look at him and see he's a trickster, she said of the poll, who struggled mightily to make inroads among black voters at the Democratic primary race polls last month, despite his stunning win. Another longtime local who asked not to be identified seethed. He's a fraud, she said. He's a foreigner. He ain't no African American, the man said to Mamdani, who was born in Uganda but became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2018 and holds dual citizenship between the two countries. A Bronx resident named Joshua added, quote, he's a liar, point blank period. We don't need a lying mayor or a mayor that says he's black so he can get black people to vote for him. And here he is right here. We black, he said. We ain't stupid. You can't sum that up better. Mamdani, a Democratic socialist, had checked off the, quote, black or African American and Asian boxes on his 2009 Columbia University application regarding his race. The New York Times reported that last week. The university where Mamdani's father and still is a professor had affirmative action-friendly admissions policies at the time, which the poll's critics allege he may have been trying to take advantage of. Either way, Mamdani failed to get into the prestigious school. Interesting. He then told the Times that, well, he doesn't consider himself black or African American. He is, quote, an American who was born in Africa. What? And simply felt the other choices on the form didn't fully address who he is. Well, if that doesn't make sense. What? He told the Times that he doesn't consider himself black or African American. He is, quote, an American who was born in Africa. No, you were born in Africa and then you immigrated to America. I mean, I guess that's a technical definition. What? The wordplay with these politicians, man, they're all the same. And simply felt the other choices on the form didn't fully address who he is. Well, if I'm white and I live in a black neighborhood and I see white or black on a college application, and maybe I am white, but I feel black because I'm hanging around black people all the time, and I'm really experiencing the culture, and damn it, I feel black. So I'm going to put black because that's white. It's not really what I feel. It doesn't fully address who I... You see how crazy that sounds? You do see how crazy that sounds? Just don't lie about yourself. And this is what people are seeing. But when asked by a performance artist on the street in April whether he considers himself African American, he admitted it would be misleading to say so. Just say you're not. It's not that hard. A Bronx resident said Mamdani's claim in 2009 was shameful. Quote, I always knew something was off about him, said Maria R., 37, to the Post. Quote, why are you claiming something that you are not? He could have potentially took away an opportunity for somebody else. That is true. 100%. Quote, he can look in the mirror and see he's not black, she said. Tiffany Francis, a 31-year-old from Brooklyn who moved to Harlem in 2019, agreed the claim is not fair. Quote, I think people should tell the truth. No matter the circumstances, just be truthful. Don't try to persuade or lie to get your way. Amen, Tiffany. She knows. She knows. And here he is. Here's Zohran Mamdani right here. Earlier this week, Mayor Eric Adams, who is black, called Mamdani's college application claim deeply offensive. Quote, the African-American identity is not a checkbox of convenience, the mayor griped of his foe. It's a history, a struggle, a lived experience. For someone to exploit that for personal gain is deeply offensive. But, surely enough, I mean, people are going to be different no matter what. Some black New Yorkers said they have no issue with Mamdani's claim and even appreciate it. Quote, I think it's nice that he's from Uganda, said Temison Bazunu, 22, a summer intern and Nigerian native. Quote, I feel like he will be a great mayor if he wins. It's nice to see somebody close to your country. I don't think he's a liar. Michelle Hart, a native of Trinidad and Tobago, said she understood Mamdani's choice on the application. Quote, there's always that question when you're filling out the paperwork, Hart said. So I can see him identifying as African American because he saw African, whereas other connotes to something other than African. So he saw African and African American, and I think that's okay. Well, I'm American too. Does that mean that I can see myself inside African American if I check off African American instead of white? White doesn't imply that I'm American necessarily, but I'm definitely American, so maybe I'm African American? What? I don't necessarily agree with that. Mamdani's camp did not respond to the Post's request for comment on the controversy Friday. All right, so he's a liar. And at best, he's shady, right? Talking about how when his mother was a director in a film, she said, oh yeah, the white people will be like the waiters. They'll be the servants. They can serve everybody, like the lesser roles. He's laughing about that. He's smiling about that. And then we go back to what I just read about his campaign where he wants to overtax these richer, whiter neighborhoods and give some of that tax money to the low-income neighborhoods, which is really weird. It's just odd. Why would you say all this in broad daylight? Literally, just say you're going to tax the richer neighborhoods, but like you had to say the richer, whiter neighborhoods, and then seeing how he did lose the black and Hispanic vote. Cuomo got that once again. We talked about it right here. You could look it up. And then people are saying, black New Yorkers, rightfully so, saying like, this guy's not black. Why is he lying about his race? Isn't that a little bit fishy? I think it's a little bit weird. And so you can feel how you want. Like, I like that he's tapping into a base. I may not necessarily agree with this guy's politics at all or what he's trying to do. But he's probably going to win. He's probably going to... A shady guy, but all politicians are shady, but he's probably going to win. So there's that. Something else happened to transition to world global politics. Joe Rogan's been awful chatty about Gaza in the past couple of months. And his overlords, or overlords is probably a bad word, but people in power, people that have a lot of influence that are of the Israeli perspective, don't like this. And he went viral again, Joe Rogan did, this time for talking about Israel when they recently bombed Gaza. And I want to share this clip with you because Joe is clearly not afraid of anybody at the top, doesn't care about getting demonetized, banned, potentially murdered for his opinions. Just listen to this, man.
Technology. And
that whole thing where kicking people out of Palestine is such an inconvenient story today. When people are talking about Israel and Palestine and the conflict, they do not like talking about what happened in 1948.
Yeah, and I think it's important. Like I think for us to reach some kind of peace, which is really hard to talk about when you see what's happening in Gaza, even yesterday.
The people that were waiting for food got bombed.
Yeah,
it's insane, and no one wants to talk about it.
Right, but if you
do talk about it, you're anti-Semitic. Which is so strange. Like I don't know how they wrangled that.
It's been hard for me in tech because like probably the only prominent Palestinian in tech that is talking about it, and so that's.
Do you get pushback?
Oh, of course. Lots of
what do
pushback.
people say to you?
Anti-Semitic.
How is it anti-Semitic?
I criticize the state of Israel. Our position, every moderate Palestinian that I know, their position is like two-state solution. We need the emergence of the state of Palestine. And that's the best way to ending the occupation is the best way to guarantee peace and security even for Israelis.
So Joe makes that claim, talks about how Israel recently bombed people in Gaza that were supposed to get food. And he's been the only one, really, that, how would I say it? He has a lot of friends in power, Joe does. He's friends with all of these people that are very pro-Israel, and they're very much influential. When you talk about the people in big tech, for example, you got the Zuckerbergs, the Peter Thiels, the Mark Andreessens of the world, etc. Then obviously you have the more influential people. You have the Dave Rubins, the Ben Shapiros, etc., right? The Matt Walshes as well. Matt Walsh is a little bit different tone, but still that same, like, oh no, Israel should have a right to be existing, whatever. And so you continually go on, but you listen to this guy who is a Palestinian, he's in tech. He's saying, like, there's such a pushback. Everybody in tech is so pro-Israel. And it's like, you can be pro-Israel, fine, but like it's getting to the point where it's very hard to ignore the hundreds of thousands of people that are being killed in Gaza by Israel. Israel's dropping all the bombs. And then when you see the American politicians too, I mean, I've talked about this so much and I feel like nobody cares, but you see people like Nancy Mace, you see people like Nikki Haley, see people like Lindsey Graham that are celebrating the killing of all these kids, and they're signing the bombs or signing the missiles saying kill them all with a heart and a smile. What? At what point are we going to acknowledge that Israel has gone too far? When is that going to happen? It's almost been 2 years. And when you see the videos of these kids that are blown to bits, you see the videos of what happened in the city in Gaza being completely leveled. I mean, it's pretty hard to ignore at this point. And I'm not trying to be like a moral... That's not what this show is. But like, at what point are we going to say, like, we can't let this happen anymore? Because what our country does, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know, our country, on average, sends $4 billion to Israel per year. Now, that's not economic relief. That's not food. That's all weapons. Your tax dollars, if you live in America, are all going to Israel's weapons. And over the past 2 years in particular, they've been going to bombing the city of Gaza, to bombing everybody in the West Bank that's Palestinian, killing over 100,000 people, including the women and the children. You can see their stats, right? You could see the videos. You could see what Gaza was like before and after. This is real. Again, I'm not necessarily a sympathizer for people that get colonized, right, have their land colonized. But I am a Catholic, and Catholics do live in Gaza as well. Jewish people live in Gaza too. Muslims live in Gaza too. This is like a human rights issue thing. And how many times are we going to be able to talk about this and criticize Israel without being called anti-Semitic? Because I've been called anti-Semitic, and this isn't a big show by any means. But like, this is like something that we really, really need to touch on, because our American politicians basically all of them are supporting this. And it sucks, man. Because, like, you don't want your politicians to blindly lie to you. And you want your politicians to be America first. But you see people like Ted Cruz saying, no, I ran for the Senate of the United States, specifically as Israel first. Like, what? You are a foreign agent. What are you talking about? And then when you have AIPAC, which we all know about AIPAC. I mean, I'm just ranting at this point. This is just like baseless ranting. But when you have literally the largest foreign influential lobby, which is Israel, they're not required to register as a foreign lobby. So they're technically an Israel lobby, but they're allowed to operate as an American lobby. And so they fund all of these campaigns against different politicians and people. And I'm on the right. I'm on the far right. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to make that a secret. But when they fund political campaigns of people that are on the left and the right that are critical of Israel, and they put all of this money up against the opponent of somebody who's critical of Israel, like a Jamal Bowman, for example, or Cori Bush, which if you don't know who they are, they're representatives in New York and Minnesota. I believe Minnesota, Cori Bush was. And they're part of the Squad, which is like the AOC, Rashida Tlaib, right, the progressive kind of socialist wing of the Democratic Party. And so what they did was they were very critical of Israel, and they were speaking out against the genocide, arguably you could say, that's happening in Gaza. What happened? So this PAC, this political lobby, this Israel political lobby, AIPAC, they were like, oh, well, you're going to speak out against Israel? All right, well, we're going to put millions and millions of dollars and fund your opponent. And we all know in American politics, usually whoever gets the most donations, the most donor money to their campaign wins. So what did they do? They did that for Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman. Now you have two mouthpieces of Israel, two more mouthpieces that beat Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman. I forget their names. But nevertheless, they're mouthpieces, and they're going to act with Israel's best interests first over America, which is a foreign country. Israel's a foreign country. I apologize for being a little bit erratic here, but this is infuriating. So yeah, man, props to Joe Rogan, 100%, because he has this big platform, obviously, and they could take everything away from him, and they may, but he's choosing to speak out, and he's choosing to fight for what's right. Props to him. Props to people like Theo Vaughn. And hopefully all this shit, man, hopefully it can all be solved and the occupation can end and these people can just live in peace because they're living in hell. It's terrible. So that's it, man. That's the episode. I do have one more thing. This is a little bit of a clickbait thing, but it's something that we do have to reminisce. So this is MSNBC's election night coverage. Now, it's a compilation of about 9 minutes. Maybe we play the whole thing, maybe we don't. But nevertheless, it doesn't get old. It really doesn't get old. And it is so crazy that Trump did win. After everything that he was up against, it is so crazy that he did win. So we're going to play this 9-minute compilation from election night from MSNBC and just how they reacted to it. Obviously, they were doubtful at first, confident at first that Kamala Harris was going to win. But then obviously you see the confidence start to decline, and then they know that they're fucked. So here we go.
All the anticipation, all the excitement, all the anxiety, all the doom scrolling, all the manic refreshing of polling averages, it has all been leading to this hour. And we know you have every choice in the world for where to spend tonight. So we're really grateful that you're spending it with us. And we hope you'll be with us through the duration.
I didn't.
How's everybody doing? First time voting?
Yes.
How you feeling?
Good.
Are you guys doing okay too?
Yes, we're doing great. Kamala la la. Woo!
I was going to ask who you're going to vote for, but I didn't need to.
Kamala la la. 'Cause lives matter.
First time voting. As you know, this is where the Harris campaign wants to drive up the numbers to sort of counteract that T in the middle of Pennsylvania to counteract the rural votes that the Trump campaign is expected to get.
And so what you've seen in the last couple of weeks, if this is an audition for managing a complex organization like the United States, Kamala Harris has passed the audition flawlessly. This has been, in many ways, a perfect campaign. And what the campaign...
Flawless and perfect? She's not right about that.
Is talking about now is the granular get out the vote effort that you just don't see on the other side. On the other side, you're seeing Charlie Kirk going on X Twitter this morning and begging people to vote.
The last week has been a very good close for Kamala Harris, not a good close for Donald Trump. He hasn't been able to fill the rallies. He's addled. He has racist comedians opening. Whatever. It's been a trashy week for Donald Trump.
That's crazy that the whole Tony Hinchcliffe thing didn't have that much of an effect. Just an aside.
It's been a very strong week for Kamala Harris.
ASU, the campus that we're on right now, ASU students, the population is about 74,000. So a lot of people voting here. When it comes to a lot of the young women that we've been talking to, reproductive rights is huge. It's a big, big driver.
Not huge enough.
A lot of the conversation that we're hearing.
We've got about 10 now completed of those rural, heavily Trump counties. We're talking about places where he's going to get 70, 75, 80% of the vote. In all 10 that have now been completed, Trump's vote share relative to 2020 has gone up.
I'm just going to give a couple of everybody take a breath warnings here. We don't know.
This is when they started to panic.
What's going to happen in Georgia? It's like a baby blue state, I'm going to say, and that it has not been blue for a long time. It is a hard state for the Harris team.
One of the things that was so striking about the public polling and the public data going into this election was that the public polling said this is the closest race that we've ever had.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, that was the consensus view. And there was a real question about, well, maybe the public polling's wrong, and maybe it's going to miss a few points in one direction or another. We don't know at this point. It's very early in the evening. But I would say at 8:50, it's a very, very close race.
I'd say that if you are just joining us right this second at 8:52:06, and I had to summarize what's going on, no surprises.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much that's what's happened thus far. In Georgia, it's too close to call. In Pennsylvania, it's too close to call. In Wisconsin, it's too close to call. In Michigan, sing it with me now. It's too close to call.
Let's be blunt. I think when you watched what Donald Trump did in 2020, what Democrats were fantasizing about was a landslide victory. And so some of what was wanted and desired was a sweep that really wasn't on the table. We live in an evenly divided country, and it creates anxiety, but it also requires patience.
It is fairly shocking. And I don't think it's something that should make us super proud. You just think about just the last 2 weeks and the things that Donald Trump has said. If all of that gets you half of the votes,
48, 49%.
What does it tell you? I mean, we need to really take a step back and think about what does that say about us?
Joy Reid was fired a couple weeks after this, by the way. Just making it known.
I mean, blue wall, baby, there was always going to be a blue wall night. Some of the fantasies, right, of a landslide victory that would erase any doubt, that would eradicate, the threats. I think it's going to be a late night. The polls have accurately captured this dead heat.
Ari, since you were last with us, I've got nothing to report.
Well, the crowd here is still large, is still loud, but a little bit more subdued. And the word that I keep hearing is the idea that people here are nauseously optimistic, not just cautiously optimistic, but nauseously optimistic. The real focus now is on that blue wall in the Midwest. They knew that this was going to be a long night and that it was going to be a real nail biter, and it appears that that is exactly what we're looking at right now.
We've been saying for weeks, says O'Malley Dillon, quote, that this race might not be called tonight. Those of you who were around in 2020 know this well. What we do know is this race is not going to come into focus until the early morning hours.
Part of the objective of this email is to say to the people on the team, hang in there, guys. It's not over. We're still getting votes in. We still need to keep talking to people, keep people in lines, tell your grandma it's going to be okay.
We now have an NBC News call in the first one, Joy. North Carolina called for Donald Trump.
Yep, and so it was,
We now have all the vote in Luzerne County. Donald Trump is going to win this by a little bit more than 21 points. 4 years ago, it was 14. We also saw him make those gains in Lackawanna County right next door earlier tonight. Democrats wanted more of a Trump drop-off here. They don't get it in Lebanon County tonight. In 2020, Joe Biden won here by essentially 27 points. Sits at about 24.5. In Chester County, more significant drop-off for Harris from Biden. Next door score in Montgomery County. Harris is now running a point behind where Joe Biden finished in this county. Biden won this by 4.5 points in 2020. Trump has now taken the lead in Bucks County.
NBC News now projects that in the battleground state of Georgia in the presidential race, Donald Trump has prevailed. The Republican Party will control the United States Senate. This is live from Howard University in Washington, D.C.
We still have votes to count. We still have states that have not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure.
They didn't continue overnight.
Sure that every vote is counted. Thank you all.
A short and to-the-point statement from Cedric Richmond, the Harris campaign co-chair. You now see them turn as one to start to leave the grounds.
The evening was getting increasingly somber as people realized what this map is looking like. They turned off the TV set and just piped up the music because the room was starting to get increasingly somber.
You know, we always knew it was going to be down to the blue wall, and the blue wall is still uncalled at this point. But it sounds like the Harris campaign is sort of keeping things tight in terms of whether or not they're going to string people along into thinking this is going to happen.
What they went to that venue tonight hoping to see and witness was a historic election of Kamala Harris to the presidency, was the end of the Trump era as they knew it. And so we don't know the outcome yet, but that is not what they are receiving, and they are being told to go home and wait till tomorrow.
And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean,
wrong, shitty campaign, shitty way it was run. Jory got fired a couple weeks after this, so I mean, you can see we'll get to that in a second.
This really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. She had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Swifties.
Dick Cheney, she had him. That wasn't great.
She had the Beehive. You could not have run a better campaign.
In Western Europe and in the UK and in the Middle East, people are waking up to this.
Oh, and they are.
I've gotten people from Western Europe who are extraordinarily alarmed and terrified.
May I reiterate, there are 2 of the 7 swing states that have been called by NBC News right now, which is Georgia and North Carolina. None of the other 5 states have been called at this point. You can see.
And at this point, they still had a little bit of hope. But they were not prepared for what would happen after that.
This is the battleground states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, the so-called blue wall. None of those states called by NBC News. In the swing state of Pennsylvania, NBC News now projects that presidential contest has been won by Donald Trump. It presents an insurmountable.
That's when I knew he won it, man. When he won PA, that is when I knew that he won the damn thing, man.
Future here for Kamala Harris and for the Democratic ticket. Let's watch as Trump takes the stage in Palm Beach, Florida.
We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Boy, it's going to be a real tough speech for her.
I hate that guy. I hate that guy. Just reacting to that again, just rewatching that compilation of MSNBC after the 2024 election. Notice how they said Kamala Harris she had a great campaign. It was a perfectly run. She had all the endorsements. That's what they said. They said Queen Latifah. They said the Swifties. They said any celebrity that you watch right there. In that, in that compilation, they were there. And they thought that the celebrity endorsements equated to a great campaign. She did not run a great campaign. She said a bunch of shit, and then Trump said his platform, and then she kind of copied off of Trump's platform a little bit. She's still drunk to this day. She hasn't been sober since that election. Word on the street anyway. I just remember that night. My family and I, we happened to be in Florida. We were watching the election from Florida. So much promise, man. So much promise still. But I will say Trump is he's a better political candidate than he's a president. He's done some things that I like. He's done a lot of things that I don't like. Now, if Kamala won, would she still be controlled by Israel like Trump is? Probably. But what an election, man. What an election. Way to end on a high note. I needed that because that was a good night. It was a very good night. A lot of optimism when it came down to that election after that. Right now, his presidency, hits and misses. A little bit more misses as of late. He got the big, beautiful bill passed, which some things I like, a lot of things I don't like, but we'll see. But I am excited, even though I am a fan of President Trump. I'm excited for life after him, after he is gone, retired from politics. I don't think he's going to run a third time. I don't think that's a thing. I love what he says. I don't like what he does. So, if his actions were the same as what he said, then I would like it more. I think we'd be better off. But to be continued, we shall see. So, we've been over an hour here, or about an hour. It's been a pleasure recording with you all. Innocent Villains, next episode will be out probably on Wednesday, if not Thursday, but that episode is coming. You'll be able to see Shide again. Give the channel a like, a subscribe. We're at 3,000 subscribers now. We're going to be pushing memberships. We're going to be pushing merch. We need 1,000 more hours until like mid-August. We have that period of time where we could get to 4,000 and get completely monetized. But now we're finally monetized. You're welcome. And thank you as well. But you're welcome for the content. We're going to be giving you memberships. We're going to be giving you merch. We're going to be giving you access to super chats for live podcasts. That's coming. But thank you all for the 3,000. We're partially monetized. But we're going to try to get to 4,000. So give the video a like. Give me a follow. A subscribe. Watch more of the videos. There's a lot. And thank you for supporting the channel. And we'll see you.